think people can just read that shit on their own. Jesus! Dude, that has scared the shit out of me. The new Picard show where it's like, hey, Picard used to be about diplomacy, but now he's like, fuck them all. Like, damn.
And we somehow did it. We circled back to complaining about Star Trek. It happens every episode. Like, I'm going to fall down the apples and pears, baby.
Yeah, there was like a scene where he's like talking like completely ridiculous, slang, and they have no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Like Austin Powers called It Once It's Joke.
He like turns into like Bob Hoskins. He's like, I didn't know who I was in the movie, but my kids said I was this little bouncing guy in a Super Mario. And I'm like,
I didn't know it was based on a game. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, come on. He's on set before he realizes it was actually a game.
He's like, I'm that little jumping man.
It's like, I'm the guy that bounces up and down.
Oh, that was pretty good, man. Holy shit.
Hello.
How's
it going?
Excuse me. It's Buddy Shots week. I already fucked up. It's Buddy Shots episode 84. And why are you dressed like that?
It's Ocean Week.
Ocean's 11. So this is the first time that Matt's dressed up for something and I haven't. So next stop, anime we're gonna have him in anime cosplay for a convention, right?
We'll see.
You're like, it's like,
why would I do that?
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the character. We've got feature presentation. Devin picked this. Ocean's 11. It's the new one. We'll talk more about it then. And the Orville, which I picked.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if there were any good. I put all the taglines here, but I don't know if these were any good. I'm just looking through them to see if there's any funny ones. They're having so much fun. It's illegal.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. This one is fucking longer than crap. Hollywood's A-list stars come together to pull off the most daring heist Las Vegas has ever known. 11 men, 3 casinos, $150 million. One chance to pull it off. Like, okay, dude. That's the back of a blockbuster.
The A-list stars didn't pull off the heist.
Yeah.
It was the characters in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm fine with that. Like, it's fine.
But it's like so long, it's like, where's that going on a poster?
Yeah.
The A-list. Yeah, it's true. The A-list stars, they're out there like, Brad Pitt's like, I stole. I'm like, huh? You stole our hearts.
That's true.
So we have some nerd news, but the nerd news is, what is it?
R.I.P.
Yeah.
We hardly
we're watching R.I.P.D. Nerd news is being retired, guys. We kind of talked about it, and we were like, I don't know. I personally never watched like the Daily Show or like news, and you were watching a couple episodes of ours recently, like the podcast, and you were saying to me like, this is kind of like the most boring part of it for me is like us just recounting news articles that people could just read for themselves.
I don't feel the need to justify our reasoning for what we do.
That's true.
That's our decision to make. It's been made. You're done, nerd news.
But I think a lot of people liked it, so I wanted
like it was everyone's favorite segment. So.
Well, I heard some people say they liked it, but I wanted to at least say, my reasoning for it is I understand that, I don't like news in general. So starting off with that,
it's going to lead to less
kind of makes people turn it off because it was like you were saying, we would complain a lot. So,
if there's ever something crazy that comes up, we can bring it back. But for now, rest in pieces.
Yeah. I think people can just read that shit on their own. Jesus! Dude, that has scared the shit out of me. How long were you doing that for?
Just now, but we'll talk more about that here in a bit.
What, that fucking look?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What should we do?
Because I'm gonna bring back recommendation.
Oh,
Nation.
Nice. Do you like our new logo?
Dude.
The dude saluting.
He's like, this nation is recommended.
Yeah. So what's the...
So I watched a movie, and I can't even really recommend it, but I wanted to talk about it. It's a new movie that just came out recently. It's called We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Okay. Is this like an indie thing? Or
it's an indie horror movie. Okay. And it's about like a girl wants to do an online challenge, kind of like Creepypasta or Slender Man type thing, called the World's Fair, where you say we're going to the World's Fair 3 times, and then weird stuff starts to happen after that.
It's like Candyman or like Beetlejuice.
Yeah. And the whole movie is basically her webcam, and she's like documenting things that are happening.
Okay.
So it's okay movie. Not super original, but it's fine. But like, I don't get scared by horror movies ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely. Like once every few years, something happens in a movie, and I'm like, whoa. And that happened in this movie where I was like chilled to the core. Because there's one scene where she's like, I recorded myself sleeping last night, and I need to show what happened. And she shows footage where she's asleep, like middle of the night, on the bed, and like her arm starts moving a little bit, and then her face just starts going, and like a super menacing, like demonic grin, like out of nowhere. And I was like, I gasped. I was like, ah! Like it was so creepy and so well done.
So thanks for sharing that with me. I was like, okay, let me see.
It was crazy, and like I thought it was awesome.
Okay, cool. What's it called again?
We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Okay.
That recommended for just that moment alone, which I totally spoiled.
Well, spoiled. My pants did soil.
I mean, just thinking about
awesome.
Someone with a creepy smile while they're sleeping is very... Ugh.
They're like...
It's a scary idea.
Let's put a smile on my face. Turn into Yoda, I guess. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really have anything to recommend, but that's okay because you recommended something. Is there anything else? I know at one point you said you had like a buddy tale.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we start talking about Asians.
Okay, so do you want to just go on to weird watches then?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Weird watches. I'm like,
wait, what?
Orville, wait. So, the Orville. Had you heard of this before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ouija time.
I think we've both heard that it's, like, really good and similar to Star Trek, but actually good, so.
Yeah. So, for people that don't know what the Orville is, it's essentially, American science fiction comedy drama. It's essentially Seth MacFarlane, after all these years of doing stuff for, like, Family Guy, American Dad, and all these other shows, was like, what if I just, instead of, like, parroting all this stuff on my shows all the time and barely having a show, what if I just did that for, like, Star Trek, but, like, it's mainly serious, but there is comedy in it and stuff. But it's more of, like, an homage and parody than anything, which is what it says here. But, yeah, and it follows the crew of the starship USS Orville on their episodic adventures through space, like Star Trek and all the other series of Star Trek, from the original to Enterprise. So, yeah. What'd you think?
I thought it was highly entertaining.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching it. Definitely want to watch more. It was, like Star Trek, which we both love, but also with some funny jokes. That mainly were good. So
yeah, I was blown away because I honestly am not the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan. Maybe not like him specifically, but just I don't really like Family Guy anymore and like a bunch of its other stuff. But
not
having
a big Ted head,
or like a million ways to die in the West. That like when I worked at like a retailer that took in trades, we had like 1 billion copies of. Or 1 million. But I personally wish I could thank Seth MacFarlane for this because he made this show.
Well, your wish is coming true because you're about to thank him right now.
Yeah, thanks, man. Because this is like what back when we would do nerd news, we would complain all the time, man, they're fucking up Star Trek, they're fucking up Star Trek. And little did I know that Seth MacFarlane had continued Star Trek and, just calling it the Orville, and because it's essentially like that, but just with increased bits of comedy and stuff. I do agree, there were a couple parts in the first episode that I was like, is this how it's going to be? It's just some of these didn't land, but like, after that first episode, I actually watched the full first season.
Oh, wow.
And, the other episodes are a lot more lax on that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it was kind of hitting but it's like, every episode is, like, written and directed and starring Seth MacFarlane, which, for how good it is and how true it is to, like, the Star Trek formula, like, is pretty impressive in my book. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love him as a lead. Like, he's fine.
Right,
There's something a little bit weird that's always kind of weirded me out about him, but I mean, he's fine.
I think he does, like, the best in this show,
where
there's other people around him, and he's the captain, but, like, he doesn't... It doesn't seem like he's just doing this to be, like... I mean, obviously, like, he cast himself as the captain because he wants to be that role, but, like...
Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Do they break out into random show tunes for no reason? Like Family Guy?
No.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that sucked. I hated that about Family Guy.
There is like one joke later on that it almost happens, but like it like something happens and everybody's like, thank God.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, a lot of the comedy in this is like what you find funny about Family Guy, like the tiny little bit, but it's just distilled into that bit and like cranked down. You know what I mean? Like, because everybody knows if you've seen Family Guy or like any of his other works, like when he does a joke, it's that same delivery and stuff. But there's a lot of like serious stuff too in this show. When he delivers stuff, it's like, it's not like he's not like an asshole. Like how in a lot of stuff, it's like his characters can be like smarmy assholes, and it's like, why are these people likable? But in this, it's like, as it goes on, it definitely doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, so, I agree.
I was shocked. I was
nice.
like, I was expecting this to maybe, like, because I'd heard praise about it, but, there's praise for everything out there. But I was just like, is this going to be one of those things where, like, I really want this to be good, and then, like, it's essentially, like, it has a great setup, but it just is Family Guy in space, and I'm like, dude... I don't know. I think it helps that, like, a lot of those hateful Family Guy characters aren't in the show. Like, they don't have, like, Lois and, like, because those characters over the years have been twisted. Kind of like over the years when they made, like, Homer, like, an asshole instead of, like, a lovable dad. Where are they going with this again? How much I love the show.
Yeah. I thought all the characters were really good. Like, instantly were interesting right out of the gate, which is hard to do. So
Seth MacFarlane, his best friend, kind of reminds me of, like, if me and you were in that universe, like, you would be the captain and you'd be like, hey, come along, Mike, and like you like hired me as the helmsman and stuff or whatever, because they're like really close friends and stuff. There is some like stuff that happens in the show that's like in this first episode that's like some characters are like he'd be like, oh, what's that? I don't know what it is. And it's like something from our time. But then if it's something that he personally likes in real life, he likes it, he'll be like, oh, I love Journey. This band is awesome. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like, but it's never to the point where I'm like, okay, dude, this is annoying. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just playing in the background and stuff. And they have awesome guests. I'm not going to spoil and say who it is or anything, but like a lot of past Star Trek people come back as other characters, nice. And even people that weren't in Star Trek.
Cool.
From shows that you like.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see Norm Macdonald. Had no idea he was on it.
Yeah, he voices that blob guy. Which I'm glad that he always put him in his stuff, because Norm Macdonald is
the best.
Yeah, he is. He was the best. He's awesome. There was a couple things. There was a joke where like he goes to see an admiral and he's about to he puts like this thing in his mouth and he's like, can I have one of those mints? And he's like, those are marbles, and he like spits it right out instantly. And it's like, I kind of laughed at that, it was like, just because it was so quick, it was kind of like, that humor sometimes gets me where like you're doing one thing and then like somebody says something and you have to like be like, I'm gonna throw this away, and they're like, we paid money for that. You're like, put it back, like that kind of a thing where it's just, it seems like it's old like vaudeville kind of stuff. But I'm glad they don't do it a lot, thank God, because there was just, I don't know, like you were saying,
it was highly entertaining.
A lot of the characters when you first meet them are like, none of them are like, man, this character sucks. It was like, it reminded me so much of, and I guess it's a good thing, of like any of the Star Treks I've ever watched for the most part. Like when you first meet these characters, they all have their little like quirks and they're all different characters enough for you to be like, and everybody has, you can be like, oh, that's my favorite. But like every episode you like a character.
Yeah, except for the one dude, like Michael Dorn should sue the, for like, they just steal Worf like for the one dude. I don't know if it gets any better after the first episode, but I was like, he's doing it like exactly a Michael Dorn Worf impression.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
It's the same exact character. Like they might as well have just had.
I don't know if they talk about it in the first episode, but there's definitely something totally different about those guys that are very interesting.
That's cool.
I was gonna think of Michael Dorn. Yeah, like
what do you think of the special effects?
Oh yeah. Actually, I didn't even have a note for him, or did I?
What?
Because usually,
I was watching these.
If it's bad, I'll put a note. But it was really good. So
yeah, I was watching it and I was like,
whoa! Yeah. I was waiting for you to do that sometime in the podcast, but you did it later. Yeah, no, seriously, I was.
Yeah. There were a couple dicey shots right at the end, but like it just stood out because the rest of it was like, as good as any big budget movie.
I was like, okay, so this is like what Star Trek should look like now, like, but
Star Trek, their version is to like make everything as busy as possible. So,
right.
Like there's
like
the
50,
Transformers effect.
Yeah, because there's like the biggest kind of thing that happens on the show is like it'll be like
we're gonna have 1 million ships all shooting at the same time, and you'll never be able to.
Let's have all of the Enterprise or all of the what's it called in Star Trek, the where everybody's the Federation ships. All versus this one, like the bad guys, and in this it's like the Orville versus one ship is a big deal. Yeah, because it's like how it was back in the day. It's like diplomacy, and like the new Picard show where it's like, hey, Picard used to be about diplomacy, but now he's like, fuck them all. Like, damn.
And we somehow did it. We circled back to complaining about Star Trek. It happens every episode.
Even when we don't complain about it, we're thinking of it. No, but like it's just the difference of where Star Trek is now as to it's like watching this show is like going back in time. It's like, hey Matt and Mike, you were awesome. Love watching your podcast.
Cheers.
Thank you. Globs of fun. That's Mom. She's like, great job. She's like, also Picard's great. Screw you.
She's like, boo.
She's like, have fun getting home. I got your brakes on.
Get off the podcast.
Get off the podcast. Because she's got one of those pennants up there you've gotten. It says Picard, and she's waving it. But yeah, like Picard. I mean, no, like what was I saying? Something about how much I like. It's like stepping back in time to when, like the last time Enterprise was on, because it's like it's a formula that works and it's a formula that's really good and stuff, and it was just so shocking. I think probably because we had watched Discovery and we had watched Picard and stuff, and it's definitely more action based, like you were saying, with all the ships and stuff. When there is action, but it takes the best part of like all the other Star Trek shows, like the past ones like Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Next Generation, but has like the overarching stuff of like Deep Space Nine with like characters and stuff like that, which everybody likes and stuff. So
yeah, it's always nice to have high expectations for something and then have it live up.
Right.
Like it's rare.
Yeah,
it's rare.
I just just hoping, Yep. I was hoping.
It's a good pick for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. yeah, thought that was really good.
Cool.
I would say I would continue to watch it, but I already have.
You did it anyway.
Yeah. And you said that you were interested in watching it more, so
For sure.
for once it was a weird watch that I liked again. To continue. So I think maybe what we're gonna do now is top 5, right?
Let's do it.
Okay. I don't think that I fucking made the top 5 for this week, so I'm just gonna do this, and then I will edit this in later. Back in the day, we'll edit this part out later. Never edited it out. So, a spreadsheet. I like this.
It's official.
It's official. It's wonderful. Okay, so this week we're doing the top 5 George Clooney films. Now, Mr. George Clooney, he's a man that's been around the block, and he's done many things.
He partially grew up in our hometown. Went to Western Row.
Half of his body.
Yeah, his leg. You knew that, right?
His leg?
No. He spent 6 years in our hometown.
No.
Yeah, he went to Western Row.
Is that made up just like
Suzanne.
when the women went to the basketball game? Remember that? Or no, that one time.
The women went to the basketball game.
When our high school team or whatever
Went to state and lost.
Yeah, another fact.
They lost and should be ashamed.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened. I don't remember it because I just blocked it out of my memory. I was like, I won't become the thing I hate. So what's your number 5?
Number 5, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The Coen Brothers film.
I fucked up.
You missed it. Or did I? Did I get the wrong year again?
No.
I think I did it right this time.
No, I fucked up because I didn't put it on here, even though...
Why didn't you?
Because I was looking at a list, and I was like, I've seen this movie. Completely fucking forgot to put it on the list.
You're like, I don't want... Bop! God damn it. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
I'm like, I don't want your life. I'm about to replace one here.
Good. Get it right, or pay the price.
Remember the time the women played basketball?
You're like, that's fiction. Women aren't allowed to play basketball. According to Mike. Quote.
Got to get t-shirts made. Women can't play basketball.
So you're a fan of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah. It's
when I saw that movie,
it's my number 4 now.
I liked George Clooney, but when I saw that, I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. He's so good in it, like funny and awesome, and he sings. Although I don't think it's really him singing, but it's great, and he's great in it.
He's like, I try to walk and I choke. It's like, wait a minute, I think that's Macy Gray. Yeah, that would be my number 4.
Cool. What's your number 5?
Gravity.
Yeah, I
only
somehow
because
missed that
he's
one too.
only in it a little bit.
I pulled Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That probably would have been on my top 5 too, but I somehow...
I had to make a last correction because my number 4 originally was...
Perfect Storm.
Yeah, you saw it, thank God. Yeah, I saw it.
Which it's fine.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made the list. So, shocking, I've only seen 6 George Clooney films, so this was not a hard list for me. But yeah, number 5, Gravity.
Amazing movie.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What was your number 4?
Burn After Reading.
That was one that I saw on the thing, but I've never seen it.
It reunites him and Brad Pitt.
And
the Coen Brothers. And it's hilarious and great.
It was wonderful.
Highly recommended. Brad Pitt playing like a male bimbo character, which he's great at.
A himbo?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
It's a good dark comedy. So.
Was that a book at first?
I'm not sure. Could have been.
Nobody knows. Okay, so
George Clooney's been in I think 3 or 4 movies with the Coen Brothers, and
yeah,
it's a good pairing.
Oh, like a nice shanty. Or wait, Chardonnay. I fucked up again. My brain is like destroyed today. Okay, so now we're on to number 3 because everybody know my number 4. What's your number 3?
Speaking of 3 Kings. 3 Kings is a great movie. Have you seen it?
No.
It's him.
I don't know why I said it like that. I said it like an asshole.
Mark Wahlberg.
Fuck that! No, I never watched that movie.
And Ice-T and their soldiers in Desert Storm, and they like pull off a heist.
Is that? I think I always got that movie confused with that one that Bruce Willis was in, where he's like a soldier. In
like Heart's War or something.
Yeah, or like it's in the desert as well, and he's like it's like the something talkers or something.
The Wind Talkers.
Yeah,
that's Nicolas Cage. I'm not sure. But Three Kings is great. It's another dark comedy. And that was the first movie I've ever seen where like the score is just a drum solo, which you probably hate. But it's awesome.
I don't know.
It works really well for me.
I'm like, not quite my tempo.
I know you were criticizing the drums in Vampires, and I never could get over that, remember? I was like, I love the drums in this movie, and you were like, it sounded like...
I was probably just being a bitch because I was watching that film being like, man, this just looks so cheap the whole time. But
what's your number 3?
A cheap Carpenter film is better than most other films. My number 3, I've only seen a couple of these, so Batman and Robin.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
That movie's so bad.
It is.
But
I'm not defending this. I'm just saying my defense is I've only seen almost the minimum required films, so I had to rank them, and Perfect Storm didn't make the list. Sorry.
You know what? This is why Superman works alone. No, I have a soft
I'm like,
spot for that
actually,
movie.
Superman doesn't work alone because he's in the Justice League. You're the one that left the Justice League, you fucking idiot.
That movie's like, it has to be seen to be believed how stupid it is.
It's
but it's
like,
got Arnold and George Clooney, and like, it's fun.
It's like the Birdemic of superhero films. It's like Joel Schumacher was like going nuts.
Yeah.
It's like you go from Tim Burton and like the awesomeness to like, you know, these movies started getting more ridiculous, and it was like going away from the dark and gritty into like almost as I would almost say more. I would say almost more ridiculous than Adam West, but I don't think so. There's like, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah,
but you know, at that time, Adam West, that was like everything was groovy, and that's how it was. And when that movie came out, Batman and Robin, everybody was like, what? Can't believe it.
Jump the shark.
Yeah. Blew up the shark with shark repellent. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about it other than I think is that the one with Arnold as Mr. Freeze? Mm-hmm. And who plays Poison Ivy in that film? Uma Thurman?
Uma Thurman?
Yeah. And they have like Bane in the film for 5 seconds, but it's like yeah. So
not good.
Yeah. I think that's the one. Yeah, that's the one where he talks about having a Bat credit card.
I saw it twice in theaters on the same day.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's what I used to do back in the day, and it was torture both times.
What's the story behind that?
Because I would, like, usually on when big movies would come out, I'd see him with my dad. Well, no, I'd see him with my dad, like, in the morning, on Saturday morning, and then, like, see him go out with my friends later that night to see him. So, yeah, that was a...
What a friend.
Yeah.
Great son and a great friend. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say about it other than...
You can skip it.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
Are we on number 2?
Or wait, did you already give your number 3?
Yeah, Three Kings. Number 2, The Thin Red Line. An amazing war movie with another great cast. George Clooney is, like, not the main character, but he's just has, like... Each scene brings in like a lister to like participate.
To steal.
Yeah.
Exactly. To steal from Vegas. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing movie.
I'm assuming that people can hear us. Pretty amazing movie. Okay. Because somebody probably wouldn't have commented. But, yeah, just want to make sure.
How about number 2 for you?
Number 2 for me is Ocean's 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You are a big Ocean's head.
I actually, well, this would have made 5 films I've seen him in, so, or I guess technically 6. If I hadn't seen Ocean's 11, then I guess I would have had to have put fucking Perfect Storm on here. It's better than Batman and Robin, better than Gravity, and better than, what's the other one?
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Well, I mean, I liked it better. I think it's one of those films... I think Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and the ones like after that or like before it on the list are ones that I'll watch and then I'll kind of be like watch it maybe years later. But I think Ocean's 11's one that's like a good film to watch. It's a good film to watch at a party and that kind of stuff. It seemed like so. But we'll get into it more here in a minute. But yeah, that's on the list. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Just
HM.
Roseanne, where he played Booker.
Okay.
It's first time I ever saw him, and I thought he was.
I like how you had Ocean's 11 on there, but I had a question mark behind it.
So that was before I watched it again.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure.
That's funny. My honorable mentions are Grizzly 2, The Revenge.
Have you actually seen that?
No. But I just saw a thing
Yeah.
of what he was in and Return to the Killer Tomatoes. So these were like some of his first roles along with, you said, like Roseanne. Yeah.
Booker
T.
Who got murdered on the show. Remember that? He died.
Oh, yeah.
Which that cracked me up. Anyways.
Damn.
Should we move on to number 1?
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to be the same. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. It's a duh. Wait, that's a different movie, isn't it?
No, it's that movie.
Night. See our last year's
previous episode.
October extravaganza, Vampire Week. Yep. Which, this week's October month, we've got some great picks, and we'll be talking about them later on this month. But yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Not only
awesome
one of my top
film.
favorite Clooney movies, but my top
one of my top favorite
movies
films
of all time.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
And
it's kind of sad that he this was one of his first big movies, and he kind of never topped it, in my opinion.
I think it's hard to top Tarantino films. They're
Seth
so
Gecko.
fucking good. And
he's so good in it.
Yeah, and the twists and turns that it takes have to be seen to be believed. I would, say to anybody that hasn't watched it, fucking go out and watch it. It's awesome. You'll love it.
Put that on the poster.
Yeah. I'm the new poster boy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess since we've both already talked about it a bunch. Just see our previous episode.
And it's got a bonus because it has Michael Parks from Tusk.
And it also has a bonus because in that same episode we talked about fucking Nosferatu in Venice.
Yeah.
Can skip that part. Boo. Are they saying boo? No, sir. They're saying burns. Okay. So are you ready to go on to the feature presentation? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No. Hold on. Do you want to tell your tale now? Or
Yeah. So I saw this movie the night it came out with a group of friends.
Buddy tales.
And this was before the days of reserved seating. So you'd have to wait in line if you wanted a good seat.
People are too young to know it.
Yeah. But on this occasion, we were all very late to the movie. So there were only a few seats left. Mm-hmm. And it was at a crappy theater.
Right.
A super
Did it
old,
even have
down.
stadium seating?
No, it didn't have stadium seating.
Yeah, for people that don't know, back in the day, not only did you have to reserve you couldn't reserve your seats. It would be literally there was no stadium seating, so it wouldn't be the seat ends here. It would be
so when we were little kids,
straight.
you literally couldn't see.
Yeah.
I remember being so frustrated as a little kid, I can't see what's happening.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
But so as it turned out, all my friends got seats before I did, so I literally had the last seat in the house.
Oh, wow.
And when I looked at it, I realized there was no actual seat on the chair. It was the back, and then the seat part was gone. So I was like,
what? So this was it's a horrible theater.
Yeah, it was a horrible theater. So I had to spend the entire time watching this movie propped up against the back and alternated by just sitting on the floor to watch Ocean's 11, a 2-hour-long movie. That was such a horrible experience.
That sounds like a hell torture.
Sucked.
What the hell, dude?
So yeah, I hadn't seen this movie since then.
Wow.
21 years ago. Oh, I'll never forget. Ocean's 11.
We have a similar story, not really super similar, but it's uncomfortable seating when we went and saw Back to the Future, and we had the front row, so we were sitting like this, watching it the whole time, and this is of course before the seats would lean back too, so it's we all got out of there and our necks were fucked.
Yep. I hate when that happens.
Theater antics. Now that's not a thing, man. You get the seats are far enough apart. You can lean back. You can drink your drink and just have a good old time.
Yeah.
Theaters are legit now.
So, going into this, our main event, you said you'd never seen Ocean's 11 until recently, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I had never actually seen Ocean's 11. It was on the TV, and I watched the last 40 minutes, and then it got nominated, and I watched it again. So,
cool.
It's pretty fresh in my mind, to say the least. But it was, but you're wearing your Danny Ocean cosplay. I should call you Matt Ocean.
Matty Ocean.
Yeah, Matty Ocean. I should from now on. I'll just change your. Wait, I'll change your name? That's not how it works. I'm going to the fucking lawyer. Anyway, I need to stop talking. I didn't smoke or anything today, I swear. So, Ocean's 11 came out in 2001. It's a heist comedy directed by Steven Soderbergh and written by Ted Griffin. And this is the first one they made. Like, how many more of these did they make?
2 sequels and then a soft remake with all-female
Oh,
cast.
yeah, it was like Ocean's 10 or whatever. Yeah. Ensemble cast including George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Don Cheadle, Andy Garcia, Bernie Mac, and Julia Roberts. And there's probably more people, I think, in there, because that's on 11. The story follows friends Danny Ocean and Rusty Ryan, who plan a heist of $160 million from casino owner Terry Benedict, the lover of Ocean's ex-wife, Tess. I actually have a quote here. I talked to Devin about this and asked him if he wanted to be named. He said yeah, and he had like a kind of not like an explanation of why. I guess maybe this is like his whole thing of like why he picked it. And he said he didn't see it when it first came out. I guess unlike you. Mm-hmm. It had a bunch of famous actors in it. As a kid, he was a bit of a contrarian. He saw it on TV once and really enjoyed it and kept watching it whenever it was on. And he said he started counting at some point, and he's watched it more than 20 times now.
Wow.
So, it's pretty legit. Now, this is
Got a real Ocean head.
I know. This is a remake of the 1960 Rat Pack film of the same name. Can you name all the members of the Rat Pack, man?
Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. I don't know who else.
It's not Rizzo from the Muppets, Splinter, or Rossetti, Rossetti the Rat.
Nice.
The Rat Pack. Yeah, I don't know them personally. Well,
yeah, like
personally,
what? I'm
they're
surprised.
fucking dead. Yeah, I don't know them. I was never like a Rat Pack person.
Me neither, and I'm like I admire Sinatra as a singer, but that style of music I've never really been into.
A lot of the Vegas,
like the crooners,
mafia connected kind of deal.
Also, there's like I've heard some other stuff, and it was always like uncomfortably mildly racist stuff against Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, he was just like they're like
kind of gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was never a fan. I haven't seen the original.
Can you think of any other rats? If so, leave them in the comments. Besides the bastards that picked on Sammy Davis Jr.
The Rat King.
Oh yeah, nice. Rat Week. Top 5 rats.
Ratty Ocean.
Yeah, Ratigan from The Great Mouse Detective.
Radagast and his pancake puppies.
Radagast in my fucked up stomach. Can you think of any other heist films? This comes to my mind when I think of like big heist films.
Well, my favorite movie, Heat.
Oh yeah.
Also,
true, yeah.
Thief, also directed by Michael Mann, is an amazing.
I guess like
movie.
any Lupin the Third fucking film is a heist film.
Yeah.
It's just they've never been done this well. It's like, man, and they can animate them.
Well, it sounds like we may have slightly different opinions on this episode, but we can get into it. Like overall, I do think this is a good movie. It's very entertaining.
What would you do if released though? At the beginning when he was like, "What would you do if released?"
Great question.
When they ask him that at the beginning of the film, and he's like, "I stole because my wife, left me," and I'd be like, "This guy kind of what seems like he was unstable. Then why the fuck would we release this guy?" But yeah, that wasn't an actual question. That was a hypothetical. Unless you've been thinking about it.
I haven't.
But you are released. but not from the shackles of this podcast.
I've been unleashed.
Oh my god. We got Bernie Mac kind of in the beginning of this movie, and sadly he's no longer with us. What'd you think about Bernie Mac?
Oh, huge fan.
Yeah,
loved him.
Did you guys watch the Bernie Mac show back in the day? Yeah,
it was great. And then I wasn't really familiar with him, because that's kind of where like he broke out as a star.
Yeah.
I think. And he was in a lot of movies around this time. And then I went back and watched some of his old stand-up, which was amazing.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Very aggressive and hilarious.
I think a lot of people definitely, knew of him from the Bernie Mac show where he took care of, like, his wife's, like, I think they were his wife's, like, sister's kids or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think
so. Because he's, like, a really good guy or whatever. It's kind of like King of the Hill kind of stuff. Like, he's kind of like a strict dad and stuff, but he was hilarious because I think he was also in a bunch of other... He had, like, small bit parts, but he was, like, the funniest part in movies. Like, he was, I think, in one of the Transformers films as a car salesman or something, right?
Could be. I really liked him in Bad Santa.
Yeah.
He's great in... he's great in everything. Yeah. And he's great in this. It's like, gone too soon.
Yeah. I'm like, well...
So what are your general thoughts on this movie? You're a big fan?
I thought it was pretty good. I always like it in films when they kind of show you what they're gonna do, and like they don't only show you what they're gonna do, but they do it. Whereas like I hate in like movies or just in mysteries where there'll be like the dude will solve it and you never had a chance to find out how it even happened. You know what I mean?
If they cheat.
Well, because the guy's like, they cheat you by being like, this guy's so smart that, but we didn't want to like come up with like any sort of way for him to be smart, so he just did it. And this, they show you what happened, and they give you just enough and leave just enough out so that you'll be surprised along with the people, which I like that.
Yep. Same.
I will have to say, as much as I enjoyed it, there were a couple things about it that I kind of thought could be cut out of it. But I probably could say that about most films we talk about. I think that's probably our number one complaint of most films. Not that every film is like that, but there were some scenes that probably didn't need to be done, just because I'm sure we'll come across them, or you'll talk about them, or I'll talk about them at some point here.
Yeah.
But,
like I said, I think this is a fine movie. I was never bored. It's fun to watch, but it's like so light. It's like it's, to me, this is like middle of the road good movie. If every movie was this good, we'd be in great shape. But it doesn't do a ton for me either. Like I don't think any of the characters are that interesting. I think they're all like cool and stuff. Like they're cool. They play it cool. That's their characters. But like nobody has like an actual like deep character. Like their surface level thing is not only what they do, but who they are. It's like most of them are just being Captain Kick-Asses, basically.
Right.
Which is cool.
There's a guy that his whole thing is to be like a gym, like he's a gymnast, and he like squeezes into tight spaces. And that's pretty much his whole personality.
Yeah.
Like that he can contort.
Yeah. And on top of that, as I was watching this, I realized like I don't understand why everyone hates Andy Garcia, and like then I started rooting for him. Like, because I
was about to say he's probably like the coolest guy in the
he's movie. A good boss. Like, he's involved with all levels of his organization. Like, he runs a good ship. Yeah. Like, seems like a nice guy. He's even nice to George Clooney when like Clooney barges in on his girlfriend. Yeah, I'm like, dude,
I think
this guy's the hero, and Ocean's.
Well, technically he is the hero because they're fucking stealing from him.
But I think the movie is trying to say like he's a bad guy because everyone hates him, but they never explain why. Or I think you're supposed to hate him because he just so happened to be the guy that fucking Tess went to, right? And George Clooney's the guy you're supposed to like because his wife left him. Yeah. But they don't really say why. Yeah, or they don't show him doing anything villainous.
Right. I think it's implied that like he has some sort of ties to like criminal activity because like he'll kill you or some shit. But that was a line I actually wrote down that I was like, so let me see here. Where's it at? They say, you know, like, because he tells them what they're gonna do, where they're gonna go and stuff. He says he'll kill you, then they'll go to work on you. And I said, well, that would actually be the preferred way for it to go down. I wouldn't want to be tortured then killed. I'd want to be killed then tortured. Good torture call. The fuck out of the corpse.
I didn't catch that. That's a good call.
But I think later on they talk about how like, but they do it so late that it's like, they tell you they don't set this guy up to be a bad guy until it's almost over, and by that point it's like the movies. But they say, oh, he like this one guy was caught stealing from him or something, and he, you know, ruined that guy's life, and he ruined that guy's like parents' lives, and like they're blacklisted from getting jobs and stuff. Like he was very vindictive about it. But like that's not said until after they've already decided they're gonna rob him. So it's like this guy's a victim until you find out about this, and even then it's not like you see him whooping his fucking like workers' asses or like you said, like
I was rooting for him.
At the beginning they're like,
I'm on his side.
They talk about this dude and they're like, at 10 o'clock every day he shows up on the floor and talks to his like head guy for 5 minutes, then goes and checks with the high rollers.
Yeah. He's not the guy that just sits in his tower. Like he gets down on the floor. Like that's what you want.
Yeah, he gets involved with all areas of management, and he just so happens to be the guy they're robbing. Like, but by proxy of that, since these guys are the good guys, he has to be the bad guy. But even then, I didn't feel like he was. You know, it's not like I was watching it and was like, this guy's a dastardly son of a bitch. Yeah. So.
What'd you think of Elliot Gould, who we previously saw embarrassing himself in The Big Hit? Remember that?
Who was he again?
He was the alcoholic dad who, like, by the end, he was puking all over the place because he got so drunk.
Oh my god. Who did he play in this one?
He was like his older friend.
Oh, the guy who like faked dying at one point. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was good in this.
I think he's like a classic dude or whatever. So.
Yep, he was one of the coolest actors in the 70s.
I think he was the only, because I think that he was the only tie from what I saw to the original movies. He came back and.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. That's
played
cool.
Like a major part. They made it seem like in the beginning that there was bad blood between like George Clooney and Brad Pitt, but then he's just like, did you get my food I sent you? And he's like, yeah. So it's like, okay, so that was just like a setup to make you think he hated him.
Yeah.
But it, yeah, I was like, okay.
What'd you think of Brad Pitt in this movie?
I don't know. I don't ever really have anything bad to say about Brad Pitt or George Clooney in any of the films they've ever been in that I've seen them in.
Did you notice how he's always eating something in the movie? Like that's his thing. And like, this was okay. There was one moment in this movie where I was like, this is some truly unbelievable stuff. Because there's a scene in this movie where Brad Pitt is standing in the lobby eating a shrimp cocktail out of his hand. That is not a walking around food. Like, that was insane. He's just like eating these huge shrimps. And like, dude, what's going on? That was the most unbelievable part of this heist.
Well, I'll let you get away with whatever you want in my casino.
But yeah, he's always fun to watch.
Yeah, he's great. George Clooney has his beginning of monologue, because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you, unless when the perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house. And then like Brad Pitt's like, have you been practicing that speech? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, this is when they're off to the races, kind of talking about, oh, we're gonna rob this. But like the only reason why they're doing it, at least as far as they know, is because just to, no one's ever done it before. But it kind of comes into play. You find out later, like, this guy is the guy that, like, his ex-wife ended up with. And now he's like, I'm fucking this guy over. Mm-hmm. So.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie was early on where they, we meet Brad Pitt's character, and he's teaching like real actors how to play cards.
Yeah,
and they actually use real actors
Yeah.
playing themselves, but they're playing themselves like so dumb they can
Yeah.
like barely function. I thought that was hilarious.
yeah. I had like,
I got all reds.
yeah, yeah. It was
That was a nice touch.
Something about like I didn't write it down here, but there was a trivia about it, and it was like they were like called the Teen Beat or whatever the hell it was called.
So it was like some of the guys from that 70s show.
Yeah, it was all like super like kind of like at that point they had all been doing like stuff. And they were all like fucking up. Oh, another characters that this was their whole thing was it was two brothers that like fight all the time, and one of them drives a monster car, and the other one has an RC car that looks just like that car. And the one brother that drives the monster cars thing is to always pick on the nerdier brother, and that was their personalities because they did that like 3 or 4 times in the movie, and that was kind of who they were. They were just there to. You know, obviously, I mean,
there to put the heist in risk with their hilarious antics.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what their characters are, and that's kind of how most of these people are. Like George Clooney got the most amount of character development, and
they're just it's kind of 2-dimensional, which in a movie like this is fine. Like I don't expect like to be crying.
It's like the same thing with like an action film, you know, with like most of them. It's not like you're expecting fucking Bruce Willis to start quoting like Macbeth or something.
Exactly.
I'd be like, that character you were talking about, the older friend, Saul or whatever, he's got like an ulcer. Kind of becomes a reoccurring thing where he's like popping these pills and shit. Which hopefully no one out there gets an ulcer.
You're like, I hope no one ever dies.
I hope nothing happens.
Like we on this podcast are in support of all life.
We are. We are the opposite of Thanos. So they are getting the crew together, and then they start playing A Little Less Conversation by Elvis Presley, which was one of his like lesser known songs that like when this came out and they did this remix blew up to be fucking one of the most popular songs at the time.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah, and I remember they had like CDs of it and all this shit, and it's like, you know, everybody knows how that song goes and stuff, but you know,
it's a fine song, but I was like, good lord, man, do I have to hear this all day?
It was the whole song of, you know, back in the day.
Yeah,
every day.
It was on all the time. Like everyone went crazy for that song.
Elvis had a little resurgence there for a bit. Every once in a while you'll hear like an Elvis song in a car commercial or something, but I don't know, maybe in another little bit there'll be another little known song of his that'll get remixed or something, and people start fucking doing backflips.
I watched his comeback special, which you should probably see because it's like it goes between actually awesome and like Austin Powers level, like groovy baby, yeah. Because it came out in the '60s. Yeah, like, I think you'd really enjoy it.
Nice. So I complimented. They go over the plan. This stuff is cool in films. Saul says, "I have a question. Say we get into the cage through the security doors there, down the elevator, past the guards with the guns, and into the vault we can't open without being seen by the cameras. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Well, say we do all that. Are we supposed to just walk out with $150 million in cash on us without getting stopped?" And then Danny Ocean says, "Yeah." And then he's just like, "Oh." And then he like pops another pill. It was like, okay, that was pretty funny.
That made me think of like the Mission Impossible movies, or also like heist movies, but I really prefer those like that approach of like action and suspense, because like I didn't really feel any suspense during this movie. Like the heist itself was just kind of boring. Like it was fine, like I said.
Yeah,
I don't want to criticize too much, but it made me think of like how much I enjoy the Mission Impossible movies.
Those are ones I've never seen before.
Oh, you'd love them.
Yeah, I like I like the film and stuff. I don't know. I'd seen it like essentially twice within the last couple weeks, so I was kind of like, you know, whatever on it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd be higher up on it if I had seen it just the one time.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
No, this is the first one I've seen.
So I've only seen them once again back in the day. I remember hating the second one, but I don't remember. The only reason why is because like they do a meta thing with Julia Roberts, where like the actress Julia Roberts comes into the movie. And, like,
what?
But her character in this movie is also in it, so it's like kind of a weird little thing. And then the third movie, I only saw because Al Pacino is the villain in that one. Dunk. Which I'll see anything with Dunk.
But yeah, speaking of Julia Roberts, Tinker Hell herself.
Tinker Hell. What do you think of her in this movie?
I generally think she's fine. It's just
I thought she was great in this.
I think the problem was when we watched Hook, it was just that most of that whole movie was like misguided as fuck.
Oh yeah, but I love the scene. I think it's like her and George Clooney are talking about Andy Garcia.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Does he make you laugh?" And she says, "He doesn't make me cry."
Yeah,
and I was like, that was probably the best moment of this whole movie. Like her delivery of that line, I was like, "Dude, nice."
Yeah, she's good. I think we have differing opinions on this stuff, but I mean, at the same time, it's like I thought, like I always like her and stuff for the most part. There are certain. I mean, she was definitely like this was about the time she was really still big and stuff.
Oh yeah, she was huge at this point. Came out the same year, I think, as Erin Brockovich.
Yeah,
which she won the Oscar
mega
for,
hit,
which was the same director. So,
I think the problem is they introduced her character maybe a little too late and in sparse stuff for I don't know, like me to really be interested as much. It was nice once things, you know, at the end when they kind of get back together and all that stuff. And you know, she's like, I'm still married, this is my husband and stuff, and but it probably would have helped if you would have found out why this occurred. Like in the Orville, you find out within the first like 5 seconds that he's you know, his wife cheated on him, and that's literally like one scene out of like essentially an hour long, you know, like thing. They couldn't even give us that in this 2-hour long movie, essentially, to like show us why, or at least explain, give us some kind of stakes behind why Danny Ocean is doing all this to get his wife back. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
She just kind of essentially disappeared and was like, you know, apparently, like you were saying, it was hard to feel a lot of stuff for certain characters.
Yeah.
I liked them all enough. Like, I didn't really there was no character that really pissed me off or anything. I wasn't watching it being like, this character is ruining me, you know, but since it was so middle of the road for some of it, it was hard to really get behind one character or one person and be like, this is my, you know, this is my, probably the closest would be, like the main people like Garcia, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, or Julia Roberts, because they were the ones that were like the main four focus. But that was also because they had like the most defined characters and they were the leaders. They kick George Clooney out of the heist because it's personal. That didn't last long, but so like we talked about earlier Bernie Mac and stuff. He has a pretty funny part here with Matt Damon. Oh, you forgot to talk about Matt Damon. Yeah, he's in this too, and I generally like him and stuff.
Oh yeah,
too.
He's always good. I forgot he kind of doesn't have a huge part in this. I remembered him being a bigger part of the movie, but it's kind of one of the side characters.
Right. He's like, if you had a hierarchy, it would be like those four people, and then like Matt Damon would be like, this is the next generation of like Brad Pitt and like all that stuff coming up, and he kind of like is the head of all these other dudes, essentially.
But it made me remember, like, back when Bourne Identity first came out, which was right around the same time, everyone was like, Matt Damon as an action star? Like, this is going to be horrible. But then, like, he was awesome in it, so... And now he's generally thought of as, like, he can do anything.
It's funny because they've done that a lot of times for, like, that one dude that played, like, Jim on The Office. He was in those, like, Jack Reacher films, wasn't he, or some shit?
Yeah. Well, even Bruce Willis started out as a sitcom star. And,
he's really funny.
Yeah.
He makes me laugh. But he doesn't make me cry.
Only when I listen to Bruno.
Lock up before you go. That was a weird sound. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I guess I was like, I'm like, picked everybody out. But yeah, Bernie Mac went through some like there was some like racism stuff here with because Matt Damon and him were both in on this thing, and he went like absolutely insane because Matt Damon misspoke on something, and like the whole time, like the boss guy, like García, is just like he's like stone faced. It's like, man, I wonder how many takes I had to do with that.
Because it fall asleep.
Yeah, because it was just so, I don't know. I would have been cracking up because of the whole back and forth, how quick-witted, like, Bernie Mac is and stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Or whatever, like, that kind of shit. It's like, oh, man. I don't know. I wrote this down because for whatever reason, the way this guy delivered this line. So, you know, Danny Ocean gets taken into this back room, and they're like, you know, the boss wants to like talk to you, but there's no cameras in the room, and he's like, okay, I know what's gonna happen here. They're gonna like beat his ass. Mm-hmm. They take him in this room, and then this one dude comes in, and they're like, well, we'll leave you guys alone to talk. And they were like pretending to like beat him up the whole time.
It was a good scene.
But the thing that like cracked me up was he goes, how's your wife? And the way the guy delivers this line, he says, pregnant again. And I don't know why, I was just laughing. It was just like he was so defeated at the thought that he had like got his wife pregnant again.
That's funny. Again, yeah. I didn't notice that.
I was like, it wasn't the line, it was the, you know, he's just like, fuck. But yeah.
Another scene that I really thought was awesome was there's like a casino demolition happening. And George Clooney's like on the case, and there's a shot where like
he's like
there's a big crowd of people, and they all turn around to watch the explosion.
Yeah,
except him.
Yes,
that was so cool. Dude.
Yeah,
I love that. I was like, dude.
Yeah, they had like. I mean, I like this movie with a lot of stuff in it. With like,
it has some good moments.
You know, like the fake out, like when you the reveal of when you find out what actually happened, like. That's all that stuff, like the best stuff, and there's stuff in here that's like that, where it's like, and like the scene with Julia Roberts, and you know the intimacy they'll have between them with George Clooney and her, Brad Pitt. I mean, he's fucking awesome and everything. It's just, I hate to say this, but I think that like some of the stuff that's the weakest is when it's like the people that aren't the main people, like when it's like we have to rely on like the B team to like. Carry the film because they're setting stuff up. It's like, okay, this is kind of boring because these guys don't really have presence in their careers at that moment. They weren't like, you know, taking the camera and like pulling you in, like, you know, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and all these other people. When they walk on, regardless of what they're saying or doing, it's like you're like, okay, they're about to do something cool because they're a great actor, you know. So. It's like even with Bernie Mac, I mean, he wasn't in this as much as I remember, or not remember, but like thought he would be as being Bernie Mac. But any scene he was in, you're like, oh, he's gonna fucking do something really funny or say something cool. But yeah, I thought it was super enjoyable and fun to watch.
Me too.
It was one of those like kind of like Mission Impossible, not Mission Impossible, Independence Day, where it's like it's one of those summer popcorn films where it's like, this is enjoyable, you know, it's, you know,
it's fun to watch, and then you don't think of it anymore after that.
Yeah.
Like I haven't thought much about this movie since I've seen it.
Like the one thing that sticks with me, I think, about it is the, you know, like the reveal, you know, like, oh, this is how we did it. But yeah, like if you put a gun to my head and was like, hey, recite some of like the lines that like Sal said, I'd be like, dude, just fucking kill me. Because it's like you were saying, there's a lot of like good stuff by like Clooney and like Brad Pitt, but a lot of the other people are kind of like surface level.
Yeah. My last note is at the end of the movie, there's one of these jokes that I'm so glad don't happen anymore, where it's like, so and so called, they want their something back. That was like such a popular joke in like the 90s and 2000s. Is like, I'm so sick of hearing that. I'm glad it's gone. The way of the dodo. I'm like, Buddy Shot's called. They want their podcast back. It's like,
seriously, that should be our poster. I'll start making posters and handing them out and freaking.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page on this one after talking through it. Like,
10
totally fine, enjoyable movie, best movie ever.
Yeah. I have a couple pieces of trivia here. The cast gambled during off hours while there's a disagreement between who won the most. George Clooney says Matt Damon. Damon says Brad Pitt. Clooney managed to lose 25 hands of blackjack in a row. It's like, good God, ow. He's like, fuck.
In a row?
Yes.
Like the odds of that, just statistically.
Yeah, that's why I wrote that down, because I was like, what? Steven Soderbergh said that the film was an opportunity to give audiences pleasure from beginning to end. He wanted to be a movie that you could just surrender to without embarrassment and without regret. That's another one I wrote down just because I thought it sounded so funny. Like, I wanted to give audiences...
It's like a very pretentious way to say, like, I wanted to just make an entertaining movie.
Pleasure. And another thing that I didn't bring up because it's in this trivia here is Don Cheadle admitted that his Cockney accent isn't great. He wanted to change it for the sequels, but his agent said no, which I thought was weird because agents get you the job and don't tell you how to act. Also, I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure that he did kind of like change it.
I honestly
in
don't
the
remember.
Sequels, but that was something that like I was watching it, and after reading that, I could tell that he probably didn't even want to do it because the accent was so bad.
It's rough, dude.
Yeah, yeah, because Cheadle's not. I don't know. He's a great actor, but I think accents are a hard thing to pull off regardless of who you are. So, I don't know if it was just he didn't have like a dialogue coach or he just did it himself because it was like.
He's like, I'm going to fall down the apples and pears, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a scene where he's like talking like completely ridiculous, slang, and they have no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Like Austin Powers called it once its joke.
He like turns into like Bob Hoskins. He's like, I didn't know who I was in the movie, but my kids said I was this little bouncing guy in a Super Mario. And I'm like,
he's like, I didn't know it was based on a game. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, come on. He's on set before he realizes it was actually a game.
He's like, I'm that little jumping man.
It's like, I'm the guy that bounces up and down.
Oh, that was pretty good, man. Holy shit. Oh, man. Bounces up and down. So what would you give?
Bob Hoskins was in this movie.
I wish Bob Hoskins was still fucking alive.
Good call.
Fucking good call.
Like, I don't disagree with you on that one.
So what do you give it?
I'm gonna go 7.95.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice, man.
How about you?
8.
Oh, nice music.
See, we haven't done that one in a while, and you pulled it out, and
it's all about the timing.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay. So, as I said earlier,
It's time for Anticipation Nation.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Give us a treat. So it's Mike week next week. We've got a couple of these until October. It's me, then Matt, then the buddy pick, and then I think it's October, and it'll be our Halloween week. So heading into October, I decided, I want to do some pre-lead scary stuff here, and hopefully this stuff doesn't suck. Because I've never watched either one of these and don't know. Yeah. But the Weird Watches is something I read up on. It's called Monsterland. Have you heard of this before? It's supposed to be a show about it's kind of like each episode is a different story.
Okay.
It's supposed to be about like the supernatural in coming into people's lives. So like one week will be about like a fallen angel. One week will be about like a mermaid or a monster or something. So I thought it was pretty interesting sounding. And then this one I wanted to watch for a while, but I let's pull the trigger now, I guess. The Relic from 1997.
Wow.
Why?
That's a good pick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why you say wow?
I'm blown away because once again, like, this is the movie that Tarantino did on his podcast this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well.
So yeah.
For once, we're stealing from him.
Relic.
Yeah. I like the way I pick movies. Yeah, I think that'll be a good thing because the Relic's supposed to have a monster in it. Monsterland, hopefully has a monster in it because it's called Monsterland.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Go to hell. I'm like, shit!
I'm like, pick a different movie. Turn up your brightness.
And because for what?
For Relic. Because
okay.
It is the darkest movie I've ever seen in my life.
It's like one of the last episodes of Game of Thrones where everybody was just like...
And it's on purpose. It's like almost an experimental... Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay. But turn up the brightness. Okay, if anybody's watching along for next week, turn up your brightness. I think next week we're doing From Home, right? Thursday?
We'll figure it out.
You fly away. Okay. So, everybody, thanks for watching. And hopefully you have a good weekend, good holiday weekend, and these will be up as every week on Tuesdays. Check us out on Steak Beaumont 64 on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and communicate with us. Say hey, what's up? And for me, Mike, I'll see you guys next time. And I
just have one more thing to say here in just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Bye.